beautiful one.
Hey, Tibu, how are you?
I am so well, my love. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, thank you for joining us. You know I love you, and I rock with you from day one. You look gorgeous
Love you back.
today. I'm loving how you look. I love your outfit. I love your glow. I love
Thank you. Thank you. I feel the same way. You look beautiful. You look like you got dressed for us. Like you put it on. Like someone custom tailored that and you put it on for us. Thank you. And your hair looks like it just got some good loving.
Girl, let me tell you, I was like, listen, if you come into Gia, you know where she comes from. You need to bring the natural, bring the cuteness, bring the embodiments, and just embrace everything. You know, my hair is finally poofy the way I like it.
It looks good.
It was a no makeup day, but I'm happy.
Wow, your skin's incredible. That's no makeup?
No, I just have on eyebrow pencil because my eyebrows don't grow, but no makeup.
Wow. Wow. That's beautiful skin.
Thank you, Jesus. So, how are you doing during this lockdown, pandemic, quarantine, whatever it is you want to call it?
How I'm doing? Overall, I am doing well, and I'm taking well day by day. I am overall grateful though, because I think, and I know the core elements of what makes life important are all very much so intact. My family as well. I'm still able to get on Wi-Fi. I have a home. I have the ability to restock my fridge. Like the things, I have a hot shower. I have the things that make having to be in a quarantine or a lockdown comfortable. So I'm really sincerely grounded in gratitude at that level. And at the same time, being stretched to figure things out in a new way and like journey to this next normal, in terms of like work and socializing and all the other elements of life. So I'm doing well. I'm an introvert, slight ambivert. I really can thrive being at home and, being introspective. So I'm well.
Oh, well,
How are you?
I'm good. Yes.
What you mean? Tell me what you
I
mean.
feel like everything you say is prolific half of the time. Like, there's a lot of times when you say things and it's like, all right, let me ponder on that. I need to sit with that. Like, the way you speak just makes me, like, all right, let's think.
Wow. I appreciate that.
I enjoy talking to you for that reason. I love when I leave a conversation that I am at a point where I either have to go do research, I get to learn more. I love conversations like those. I don't feel we have them enough in our society, so it's always good talking with you.
Thank you. That really makes me feel good. Thank you. I really love words. So I love when I'm able to pick one that resonates with someone. That makes me feel like, yeah, because I love the feeling when I read or hear someone and they're striking a chord. It makes me feel so seen, like, oh, there's a word that exists for that feeling of this moment. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, listen. Because for me, it's like, even I was going to bring this up later, but you made a statement in one of your interviews with Fueled by the Culture, and it's like I'm still processing. And your quote was, or your words were, "Master the art of standing by your side." And I was like, listen, that's a
Yes.
word. What was going through your mind when that phrase even came, into fruition, came out of your mouth? It flowed because it's just beautiful. And it's something that you would think for some people it's simple, but it's something that we don't do because we're always looking for validation from somebody else. What was going through your mind, or what brought you to that realization?
Wow, Tamika, thank you for asking me that. Oh, wow. Master the art of standing by your own side came from a moment of, it came from a moment of really needing me to see myself and be present with myself in a way that was really wrapped in grace and acknowledgement, because I think that there's so many layers to it, and let me give you them as they come to me. I think that we have this society and our time right now, particularly in the digital age and the social media age, there is a propensity to fall down the spiral of compare and despair, simply because you are looking through feeds of things that may be on your vision board, or maybe, goals, or just various things that can bring you to a place of looking at where you are and it being very different from where you want to be. And so that can bring up a lot of different conversations in your head. It can really spark those places that are vulnerable, those doubts. It can really have you being in a space of self-talk that's not serving you, right? Where you're not even able to see your progress. You're not even able to see where you are as the place that you prayed for a few years ago. There's so many layers to it. So that's one, master the art of standing by your own side by seeing yourself. Master the art of standing by your own side by being committed to what you say you're going to do, whether that is for you, for your job, for your life, for your children, for your parents, whatever that's for. Master the art of that and that's through habit, that's through discipline. All of this kind of came from this. Let me take it back. So it comes from those perspectives, right? Me needing to see that and really visually see that for myself, because I think there's a lot of language around, mindset and just there's a lot of things that provide sometimes rhetoric around how to get your mind there. But I feel like that particular statement, it has so many components to it that I can see. Standing by my own side feels like I'm supporting me.
Yeah.
I am seeing me. I am taking the actions to show that I believe in my desires. I believe in them enough to act on them. Standing by my own side feels like I'm here, I'm present. Even when you may be falling apart, I'm standing here. And mastery is a practice. Mastery is a discipline. Mastery requires that you know that you need to absorb knowledge, because mastery just means continuing to absorb knowledge so that you can level up. And then the art of, aren't we our greatest masterpiece? When you think about art and the complexity of it, the freedom and the creativity of it, I feel like the sentence just has all the layers of softness and creativity, discipline and support that I needed in the moment. So yeah, that's like me dissecting the statement, but where it came from was from, honey, I was on the phone with my homegirl and I was telling her that, I'm having even a hard time receiving a compliment or receiving, like someone may come up to me and say, hey, something that you said or something that I experienced at the festival, or something in the work that I did provided something to them. And oftentimes I have to be in my mind and say, be here, receive what they're saying, because on the other side, I'm like, I have so much work to do. I'm building the plane as I fly it. I am building the ladder as I climb it. I am, still learning, so I don't feel like the guru, right? And I don't know if anyone actually ever does, but it came from me sharing with this friend of mine that, I'm really needing to stop this self-talk that's saying that, the work that I've done isn't enough. And that I have so much more to do. Like, I was really wrapped up in that, like, workaholic. And there's nothing wrong with really being committed to your work, but I was just wrapped up in that. And anyway, what birthed out of that conversation was her saying to me, Gia, let's add things up. This is my friend Tasi. Shout out to Tasi. Let's add things up. 1 + 1 = 2, right? So here's where you were, and here's where you are now, right? Let's look at these things. can you acknowledge that there is progress there? And I'm like, but what about the fact that I don't have this? And what about the fact that I don't have that? And I didn't figure this out and I still do this habit that I'm trying to break. What about all of that? And she's like, let's get back to it. Let's be present. So it took someone that I trusted kind of bring me back to see where I am. And then the step further, this is totally my personality. I'm obsessed with words. I'm a low-key etymologist. And so I was like, I need to look up the definition of progress because I need to see that by definition, this is progress, right? So I read the dictionary daily. So I say to her, hold on, I look up the word, and progress has a number of different definitions, but the one that was so profound to me was gradual betterment. That's what progress means. It means gradual betterment. And when you boil it down to that, how can you not acknowledge that even just the incremental steps you're taking, you're progressing? And then there's something about acknowledging that where I am is progress that gives me fuel to be like, okay, I can keep showing up to this. I can keep putting in this work. And so it came from that conversation and me kind of further digging into this idea of, standing by my own side. And I need to master the art of that because these levels I'm trying to get to, or that I'm working to get to or will get to, I need to be by her side as she's climbing.
Girl, I'm just soaking in the explanation, the definition. I'm like, okay. And I love that you are real and you're relatable. I feel like too often people get to the pedestal and you feel you can't relate to them. I don't understand what you're saying because you act like you've been through nothing. You act like the spoon just came to your mouth and you got there by yourself and there was nothing. So talking with someone like you, kind of like in those moments when you feel inadequate, it's like, come on. Because for me, I look up to you. And in your mind, sometimes it's like, but I love seeing women like you and having people like you inspire women like us. I think is so important, and not teaching us that we always have to have it together. That success isn't me necessarily, or being at the top with millions of dollars, but even the process, just getting from you're climbing the stairs and getting from one stair or one step to the next is progress, is success. Because success is, I left one level, I'm at a new level. I may not be at the top level, but I'm still moving towards it.
You got it.
That's what I love. And I keep telling you, like, I could just sit down and just listen to you all day.
I love you, Tamika. I can listen to you too. I appreciate the profound things and the way that you say them. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And they need to get you, and you need to have a podcast and keep talking, and you need to do more for us. We love hearing it.
I appreciate that encouragement. I keep thinking about it, and I feel like yes, maybe I'll work on it. I keep thinking about it, but I'm like, I feel like I have so much to do already to add another project, but there's things to share, so I need to figure out how to get it out.
Oh, listen, I am all for it. So I know we kind of like dived into everything, guys, but this is Gia. If you've ever heard,
we didn't have an intro yet.
If you've ever heard of CURLFEST, or this is one of the co-founders, the spearheads behind it. If you ever heard of the largest African-American natural hair get together, where we can be ourselves, where we can embrace our beauty, where we can feel empowered. This is one of our co-founders, Ms. Gia Lowe, and I do honestly love her. I love her spirit. Gia, even though you're known for CURLFEST, majority of the time, if someone looks you up, that's what they think about. But there are other things that you are amazing at. So before we even get into CURLFEST, let's get to some of your projects, some of the things that you're doing, and get to know the woman behind the fest.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think everybody is realizing how multi-hyphenated they really are. So a totally multi-hyphenated woman. I co-own a couple other businesses. One is an eco-green extermination service. They treat and screen for head lice. I am also a strategist around marketing, culture, and partnerships. So I do some consulting work around that. I have some exciting projects brewing. I'm doing some more workshops and speaking and sharing. I really am excited about developing a product that I hope to do in the next year or so. But yeah, I have found outlets for the various parts of my personality, whether it be through the businesses that I start or invest my time or energy or money in, to the projects that I collaborate on. Yeah, I'm finding places to like get my creativity and my talents out there.
I love it, and I'll tell you why. You exemplify what it means to have several streams of income or several streams of
Wow.
business or several things. Because a lot of times, again, there's nothing wrong if somebody just wants to do one thing. That's great. More power to them. But I love that someone that can not just be in everything, but find success in it. I feel like too many times we dip ourselves in too many things and don't find success. But with you, it's like I can see where it's going. I can learn something in each sector. And I was listening to you. I was like, even though she's saying that the headlights part is separate, I'm like, it goes really good if you want natural and healthy hair because you're kind of tone nice in your hair.
Can you say, you know what? I'm so glad that you said that because I will say this. The reason I feel like I have separated it is because oftentimes, well, one is like completely focused on multicultural celebration and like and beauty, and one is like completely health and medicinal. And the majority of their demographics are usually different, but they both coincide. So for the most part, on my head lice treatment business, which is called Strand by Strand, the majority client is general market. So that is the white client. So that's the Upper East Side mom with a family, and the age can range, but that's the typical client. However, I do want to know, I don't know who your viewers are, if they're even interested or need to know this, but lice does not discriminate, and anybody can get it. I have treated every kind of race, so any myth that says Black people cannot get head lice or have head lice is incorrect. I've actually done some virtual treatments or virtual consultations, I'll say, on Black families in this quarantine time. So, or people on my team have. So yeah, I just want to put that out there. So yeah, you're actually right. It does somehow blend in an interesting way. Yeah, it does. I remember in 2000 and I think it may have been like around 2007. I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine. I was living in California at the time. I used to live on the West Coast, and I was working in risk management. I was working in finance, and I really enjoyed it. But I also had this feeling that I wasn't doing my work in the world. There was just this feeling that this wasn't. I mean, this is cool, and I'm navigating things here, which is in that particular industry is extremely male driven and extremely white, and typically of an older generation. So we say, white and white haired. So it was interesting navigating that as the only or the other, as a Black woman, a young Black woman at that time, still young, but anyway, it was in that moment in this conversation that I just felt like, I just don't feel connected to the outcomes of this. What I'm doing is I'm kind of managing or mitigating risks for large organizations, and I didn't feel the connection. And so she asked me a question, and because of how free our friendship was, I felt the freedom to answer it truly. And she was like, well, what do you want to do? And so I just was like, and I let myself feel it. Like I just let myself feel it, and it felt silly, and it didn't make sense from where I was. I was living in California. It was everything that I wanted. I am a first generation born Black woman from the Bronx, or Black little girl from the Bronx. And here it was, I had made it through any obstacle that brings, and, you know, from a single parent home. And so here it was, I'd gone through college, I graduated, and I created the life that I thought looked like success in my mind. I really thought that corporate America and the corner office, and I thought that that's what I needed to be successful. And so to be at that moment and be questioning, like, but this feels like something else. And she asked me this question, well, what do you want to do? And so I just remember sitting back in the car and I was just like, I don't know. I just want to do something interesting with hair and large events like the Oscars. Like, I don't know, just something interesting with hair. I don't know if I want to do, I don't want to do it. I worked in a salon. I don't want to work in the salon. Well, maybe I own salons. Maybe I have I don't know, but I don't know if I want to actually do that. I want to just do something interesting with hair, and I want to do really large, beautiful events, just like the Oscars. And that doesn't make any sense, but that's what I want to do. And so then she said what she wanted to do. And fast forward, what I said, that was 2007. So however many years since then, she and I were having a conversation, same friend, Tati. And she was like, you remember what you said to me in that car that day? And I said, yeah. She said, you know that you're doing really some interesting things with hair and some really large events.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, will you look at God? And I mean, I was 12 years, my first job when I was 12 years old was as a shampoo assistant in the salon that my mother went to every 2 weeks. And so, yeah, I kind of am fearless in the world of beauty. I feel like I grew up kind of navigating and understanding the ritual of showing up for oneself. But yeah, it's really interesting to hear you say that you see the connection, because oftentimes, like when I go to conferences or I'm speaking at something and I have to speak to it, I don't think I've still found the articulation of how to meld it together, but it is somehow together. Now, my Strand by Strand work, you know, that's a company that's growing and running itself. Like, I am just trying to get Gia brand together. And then, you know, Curly Girl Collective is just a beautiful engine that allows me to serve a community of you know, over 250,000 predominantly women, but multicultural people, Black and brown people, with, you know, anything, whatever we hear them say they need, we can really find a way to build a framework for it. So yeah, I'm so excited that I get to actually do this across a spectrum of like industries and like perspectives and markets. But I'm still trying to figure out how to like make it a little pill, an easy pill to swallow. I feel like I still kind of say it chopped up, but you saw it right away, Tamika. So thank you. You're very insightful.
I love it. Why do you think it was so important for you and your other co-founders to get the message out that natural hair, your natural beauty is okay, it is necessary, especially in a time where I find like a lot of people won't get on camera, won't walk outside if you don't have your natural hair, if you know, you need the extra layer. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel I'm a firm believer in you have to take care of your natural skin, your natural hair before you do anything else, and everything else is just to amplify or to accentuate a little bit more, but it's not the core of who you are. So I personally feel like that's what I get from the Curly Girl Collective. What was it that made you decide, like, we need to get this out, that natural is beautiful? We can accessorize, we can amplify, but being you is priority over everything else.
Wow. That is a multi-layered answer and question. So what made us feel like it was important to do it? I think, well, I'll answer it in two parts. So I have 5 business partners, 5 beautiful minds that are behind our organization. I think our collective thought in why it was important was because we each came from a perspective where we didn't always feel seen or heard in various ways, whether that was on screens, on shows, at work. There was, we came together at a common place, knowing that we can make a difference by gathering. We didn't know at the time that we had a journey ahead of us that would lead us to birthing the first natural beauty festival. But what we did know is that there's a gap here. We want to fill it. We felt really good, coming together. The first time we did, which was in an apartment, in one of my business partners' apartment, we gathered a group of us off of an email thread that we used to talk all day about our various questions around beauty. And it would be beauty through so many lenses, which is why I'm excited to be like, able to share my story through multiple lenses. But it would be like, our beauty experience in dating, our beauty experience in our professions, our beauty experience in education, or various elements of our lives, even in fitness and working out. How do I take care of it? What do I use? What do I do? And this is the type of guy that's hollering or not hollering. This is what my husband thinks, my boyfriend thinks. How am I dating? Like, it was just like all these things. And, sometimes people minimize hair or even skin or things to just something, but there's so much there. Our DNA is in our hair, our ancestry is in our hair, our skin, all these things. So we knew that there was a gap. We felt great the first time we came together off that email thread into this apartment. We had a beautiful time. And then the core of us came together and said, we got to do this again, and we got to do it for people. Other people need to feel it too. So then we had our first experience, our very first event in 2011. Now, that's one reason why. Now, I have multiple reasons why, as an individual, why I wanted to be a part of this, and I wanted and why I put my ideas and my sweat capital and the passion for this work. I feel like this is tilting. And the passion for this work, why I do it. It's because I've had experiences in my life. Sorry about that. I've had experiences in my life that have let me know that this is something that's important. And I'll talk to one of them. And I share this in a few different places, but I was working, in corporate America. I was working in a predominantly white male industry. And I had done an amazing presentation that was going to be presented to a client that we had been working with for quite some time. And the account executive that was working with me introduced me to this client and this is Gia, and she's doing something crazy with her hair. And I was taken aback. There were so many layers to that. One, I had just grown out my natural hair in a few, rounds of sew-ins. And I had recently just took it all. Mind you, I'm just moving from Philadelphia to California. I didn't even have a hairstylist there. It was like a whole new world. And the part of California that I was living in, which is in the Bay Area, is actually only 7% Black at the time. And so it was, far and few between to find solutions to my hair and beauty needs out there. But luckily, I came from a childhood of doing hair. Like I said, from 12 years old, I was working in the shop. I knew how to shampoo. I knew how to base for a perm. I knew how to do a roller set. I had my hands and my toes and everything in hair. So I took out this sewing and I went to work, and and a lot of Black women experience this, but so oftentimes our hair is a conversation at work. So our hair becomes like a statement or a political statement. And he felt the need to introduce me by providing an explanation to my hair. And and by that, it was crazy. She's doing something crazy with her hair. Every time I say it, it hits me in a new way. And at the time, I didn't have language around like microaggressions. I didn't have connections with organizations that I could look to, or like even saw other Black women in an office like me that were also wearing their hair natural, or looked up on Google, professional, and see images of Black women with natural hair, or like boss or CEO. Even if you look up some of these terms now in images, you might not see me, an entrepreneur, a founder. So then I didn't have the network, I didn't have the community, I didn't have the language. All I did was I took that blow, I went on and presented and knocked out, I did a great job in terms of my job, and I kept it moving. And then later on that day, I called a friend and unloaded that. And so fast forward to where here it is, we're in 2010, where we're kind of getting together this group that moved from an email thread. I had stories around that. I had feelings around that. I remember my mother and my auntie actually coming into a tiff because my auntie permed my hair without my mother's permission. And they actually didn't speak for a long time. I was in Jamaica, and when I came back, my mom was like, "What did you do to her hair?" My auntie, who was a hairstylist, she permed it, but my mother was so upset. They didn't speak for years. And that was because that's a major thing in a woman's life, or a young girl's life at the time. So there's so many layers personally that when you look back, even socially and politically, to even back in New Orleans, when our hair was such a statement, that there was a law that said that we had to wrap it up. That's where head wraps came in, because it was a requirement that we could not wear our natural hair out. I forget how to pronounce the name of the law, and maybe we can make a little edit when I look it up, and we can edit it here. But it's in New Orleans, before the Louisiana Purchase, there was a law that stated that slaves, Black women, could not wear their hair out. It was a distraction. And so they were required to wear head wraps, but then our head wraps were just so beautiful and elaborate that also became a thing. So there's just systematically, there's always been threads in the quilt of society that want to make us shrink, right down to our hair, like from the military once not allowing, locks and twists and certain types of hairstyles that are completely connected to our ethnicity, to, even in 2019, people like DeAndre Johnson, who was almost not able to cross or not able to graduate because he had locks. And just a few years ago, even universities like Hampton University Business School said that you couldn't have locks if you were in their business school. Now, things have changed, but I'm just pointing out that even within our communities, the colonization that we've experienced just generations and dramatically have just dictated that we weren't loving ourselves and allowing ourselves to be ourselves. Everything that we did was to try to fit this Eurocentric view, from, straightening our hair, lightening our skin, just Eurocentric. That was what was professional. That was what was beautiful. So coming from all of that knowledge, those experiences, the little girl from the Bronx who was insecure about her gap and just features of my beauty wasn't what was defined as beauty. I didn't have a crest smile. I had a smile with a gap. And I didn't even know that at the time. Now I'm able to, explore lands. But as a child, I didn't know that was seen as beautiful in other places.
Yeah.
I thought it was a flaw. So it is with all of that, plus coming together with 5 other women who also have experiences like mine of their own, where we said, we got to do something. And we got to do something for the little girls like us and the adults like us that have been carrying this. And the thing that we can do is carry this initiative that has been decades in. Like we're not brand new. So many, communities have planted the foundation of lifting up, the Black community. We are just on the backs of those ancestors doing it in our way, which is we come together and we celebrate. We build this community, we listen to this community, and we create things that they say that they need and that we know that they need. So that's why we did it. Super long-winded answer, but it was really all of that. That was the why.
The explanation, I think, is necessary because I was fortunate enough to have a mom that, was embrace my natural hair. Growing up as a child, my mom would be the one to take the time to comb it out. My mother, in Caribbean, you should know we make grease, but I guess you call it everything, hair grease. So my mom would make that from scratch. She would take the time to comb my hair, brush it out. She never complained. So my hair was never an issue to me. I never saw it as a topic of discussion until like I migrated to the US, and it's like, oh, it's a topic? Oh, okay. Because my mom wasn't even into us perming our hair or doing any kind of straightening to our hair until we got to a certain age or anything like that. So I've always been an advocate for natural hair. And for me, my hair, and I'm going to say it in the most Caribbean Guyanese term as possible, I had picky hair, which is short hair.
Wait a minute. What's the Guyanese way?
Picky hair.
Yeah, that's what they say in Jamaica, picky head. They say picky head. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So, and then at that time I was like using products, and maybe a year and a half ago, I stopped perming my hair. I got into Black beauty supplies. Like I stopped using like the generic products that you find at Walgreens, whatever. And I got more into using what was from my hair, because I feel like a lot of times we don't use what's for our hair. We use what's cheap, and that doesn't mean it's for your hair. And investing more in that, my hair got thicker. My skin glowed better. And I felt like I started using what was for me. And one of the things that kind of made me feel comfortable doing that, it was the Curly Girl Collective, because I saw so many of me. I saw that it was okay to be me. I thought it was okay to have kinky hair. It was okay to, just have the big fro. I saw it was okay to just embrace who you are and be happy. And, some people say I felt seen, but I felt seen in a good way. It was that validation that I needed, that it was okay and I won't be judged and not to care. So it took me a while to get where I'm okay with who I am. I'm okay with embracing myself. I don't have to, and again, if you put on a lot of makeup, there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't have to always layer myself with a bunch of, I don't have the time, first of all, to spend an hour and a half every day to do that. But it really, I don't think, well, you guys do know that because you've been through it, but the way it has helped, at least for me, and again, I advocate for myself, people of color and women like me, to embrace who we are, it is just a testimony to how important it is that you created that platform. Because one of the things that you said before was, when you were at work, how they commented on your hair. And a lot of women have that comment and we sit with it. But you standing up with this platform and all of you beautiful ladies doing that gives us a voice that now you can speak up. You can have things where we kind of change laws and we can embrace ourselves. And I mean, if it grows out of her scalp, how can you tell us it's not beautiful? Like, I don't get that. There's nothing we can do about that. So I am loving it. And, I want you guys to keep going. So even with my long-winded whatever I needed to say just now.
No, it was great. No, thank you for sharing what you just said, because one thing that you said that was beautiful to hear was that you just stopped perming your hair a year and a half ago. First of all, you have amazing growth. That was pretty fast, but that you felt that this platform aided in that. And those are the things that help us keep going. To hear that, like for you to make that decision about your beauty, to own your identity because you saw others like you owning theirs and feeling good about it and winning and being successful and being moms and working out and showing up to work. Man, thank you thank you. That's exactly why we created this.
Because probably 2 years ago, I would have been like, I need to braid my hair. Like, it's a must. And I think that's where we really need to understand braiding your hair is beautiful. It is not a necessity. Putting on a wig is great because sometimes we really don't want to comb our hair. We really don't have the time. But it shouldn't be we shouldn't be dependent on it to be acceptable to a society. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where, like, a lot of times where I come from, because I do wear makeup. I said that before, and I do wear wigs, and I do braid my hair and crochet my hair. I love changing up my hair, but I love the core of who I am, and I think that that's where a lot of us need to get to, where, like, I made a post. I don't want equality because it's obvious a lot of people don't know quality. So I just want us as a people to love us, support us, and embrace us. And even with CURLFEST, you guys have a lot of companies, hair products, skincare products that are natural, that are there, that are representing us, that we can learn about new products, learn about. So it's not just about let's come together and talk about hair. And I think some people think that's all you do. But there's so much more that happens. You get to learn about new brands. You get to support new businesses. You get to interact with women that you would probably never have had the opportunity to. There is music. There's cultural dancing. And you guys love, like me, you love the Afro music. I love it. So I love that. It's not just, okay, let's have, I think you guys are one of the few platforms, at least for me, that integrates Black people in a general tone. Like, I feel like a lot of times even though something is Black, it is American Black or it's this Black. But I feel like you guys are Black, Caribbean Black, African Black, American Black, whatever your Blackness, we got you. We ride with you. And I love that.
I love that you feel that. Thank you. We want it to feel, and we can represent even more of our Black culture and Black and brown culture. But yeah, thank you for saying that. We, as our team, represents multiple different elements of the diaspora. So we have, American Black, we have multiple Caribbean Black women on the team. So yeah, we definitely want it to reflect the various shades of our Blackness.
And I feel like I love that, because a lot of times everybody's not spoken for, and it's like you show up to an event and it's like, okay, I can't relate to anything here. Okay, so all right, this is, and people see it because it's a Black event, I'm supposed to understand. No, I'm not supposed to understand. So going to it is like you can relate to so much. You get a chance to interact with, as I consider it, our homeland, which is, the continent of Africa, in so many different ways. And, you have of Jamaican descent. Oh, listen. I'm sorry, that moment I just remembered something that you posted on the stories when you were cooking, and I just started to taste the food that you were making.
Oh my God. I cannot.
When you were doing like the seafood, I was like, all right, praise the Lord. So I just tasted it. Guys, apart from being beautiful, being multifaceted in her work, she is a good cook. Come on, y'all. Let's give it up for her. Come on, she can survive on her own. And like, listen, Gia, are you gonna give us some cooking classes anytime soon? At least, some on, IG stories, something to that effect.
Wow, you are so, you and I always have these really interesting moments of alignment. So actually, I have a couple different quote unquote classes that I actually do want to share with, my homies and supporters. One is a cooking class. So on Mother's Day, I had the pleasure of baking a cake virtually with my mom. Now, my mom she's a culinary artist, like classically trained palate. She's a master. She's been doing it since way back when. She grew up she started her career at Grace Kennedy Foods. I don't know if you're familiar with that as a Caribbean. Yeah, she started her career there, and she worked there for over a decade, and she used to go to school and like taste her palate because she was around like taste and quality control, and like, so I didn't learn this about her, actually, this part about her in quarantine through one of our FaceTimes. And so I just grew up with her just cooking, and she was always a master at it. When I tell you that people would be moved by her food, moved by her cakes, her prepared food. She used to cater, then she eventually started just, selling it at our church. She just was always, feeding people, nurturing people through food. So when I say that I baked a cake with her, I'm talking about a woman who just has mastered the art of culinary arts, right? And I said, Mom, I want to help some of my homegirls learn how to make some dishes. So I asked some homegirls, what do they want to learn how to make? Some said, I want to learn how to make rice and peas. I want to learn how to make curry goat, oxtail, all different types of Caribbean dishes. So yes, I am going to have some, online virtual classes where my mom is going to lead us in making some staple Caribbean dishes. So that is coming up.
So
and then, yeah, look at you. But you know how to cook.
Listen.
This
is how this goes, and I'll stand by this. Even when this video goes up, I will stand by it. Guyanese, we can cook almost anything. However, I will not eat our goat curry. I will not eat our oxtail. I need me a Jamaican to make that. Period, point blank, full stop. There is no question about it. There's no arguments about this. I'll stand by this. No, I'm serious.
People gonna come for you.
It's okay. They can come for me. That's okay. This is my belief, and I stand by it. And there are people that believe what I believe, but probably won't admit it. But it is the truth. So yeah. I'm all for the goat curry. I'm all for the curry goat. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to have an argument about this one. And the oxtail. You guys do it the best.
Oh, wow. Yes. I haven't eaten meat, so I don't eat a beef or pork anymore. I haven't eaten it in over 10 years, but sometimes I want a little bit of oxtail gravy, and I also have some variations. So I said to my mom, this is going to work for people who are like me, who only eat like poultry and fish, but there's a way to make stew peas, because oxtail is oxtail, right? Now that's beef. Now, stew peas, that's another dish. I don't know if you guys know, stew peas?
I know what it is because I eat it when I go to like Blue Mountain and all these good places and the door.
Okay, so stew peas. So, but I don't eat it with the typical ingredients. So I want her to do a session where she teaches me how to make, or teaches me and some friends how to make alternative, like the traditional dish, but with alternative proteins that I can eat. So instead of stew peas having like pork in it, we use like a smoked chicken or smoked turkey that still brings that same kind of flavor, but it's really amazing how her palate and like the way that she pairs flavors just is like so amazing. And then some of the like traditional pastries of the island, like black cake and oh god, so many things, sweet potato pudding, and just all of the dishes. Sorrel, I want her to teach us how to make sorrel. So I'm excited about that. And the other class I have coming up, this is coming up sooner rather than the cooking class, is fitness. So I think I have been on my dedication and discipline around showing up for myself in the form of working out. I started it with this 66-day challenge a year ago, and I maintained the habit after the 66 days ended by continuing. And since then, I've had the pleasure of working and training with an amazing coach. And I said to him, I've learned so much I've leveled up my workout so much. I would love for you to share this with some of my friends. I would love to like do a class so some of my friends can experience this, you know, where they know that the movements that they're doing are intentional and working. So I'm going to start this little series called Glow Lab, which is just legs, abs, and booty, a 30-minute session. I'm thinking it's going to be Tuesday evening, but we're going to have like a workout together. Yeah, so I'm excited about those two.
I am too, because you've been killing it with the workout game, making it look real easy, but it's okay.
You know what? Can I tell you some of the behind the scenes of that? It's not that it's not easy. And it's not that it's not easy, but it definitely took some setup. And actually, let me say this as a tool, which is like one of my favorite things is tools. When I started this workout journey, I had to set myself up for success because you know, sometimes you can start to commit to something and then you fall off and all these things. So I really had to like create ways to remind myself of why and what this was for. And really when I started, it wasn't about any particular body goals or like fitness goals per se. It was really about strengthening my discipline muscle. It was about strengthening my trust in myself and in like, I said, I'm going to show up for myself in this way and I'm going to do it. And it took more than me just saying that to myself. I had to like put some tools in place. One of those tools was I actually have a notebook. I journal quite a bit and, you know, get my thoughts out in terms of writing. I also use voice notes, but I wrote a page on my in my journal that stated all of the things. It was really a description of the woman that I wanted to be and that I want to be. And it was just my own personal little snippets of what that would look like. It would be things like how I showed up for my friends, how I showed up for my family, the way that I, you know, managed my time. Like it was just these little quotes to myself about the woman that I wanted to be. And I felt like if you can commit to showing up for yourself by working out just 20, even 10 minutes, even 15 minutes, even just get up and stretch, whatever it is, set the intention that you will do something to serve your body every day. Set it and do it. If you can do that, you can manifest this woman. She can show up because you're showing up for her.
Listen, I love that because even like when we were doing the TED event, I was like, so this is what he was like, listen, you want to have a good event, this is what we're going to do, okay? I'm telling you, trust me. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And I love that more than you know, because it wasn't like, oh, it's her event, let her do whatever. And then, you know, it was like, so this, Tamika, I'm telling you, so you don't want him as a vendor. Let me tell you, what is he bringing to the table? I was like, okay, I'm just bringing nothing.
I would want a friend to do that for me if they had knowledge that you know what I mean? Or at least offer perspective. And sometimes you need to ask your friend, like, this is one of my favorite questions to test and see the way that friend has the ability to hear me right now. Like, how can I be present for you? Do you just need someone to be an ear? Do you need someone that is going to provide their perspective and advice? Like, what do you need? Because sometimes a friend is like, actually, I didn't need your opinion. I just needed you to hear me. And just that's how I needed you to do. And you can be that if that's what that friend needs in that moment. So yeah, I felt like, yeah, girl, I wanted to feed into you the knowledge that I had gained. And if you wanted to use it, I support you. I support you either way, but I just wanted to share with you what I thought would be, you know, a very efficient way to do it.
Girl, I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. So I thank you I am grateful to Shantini for you because I have to, you know, tell her thank you. But I'm glad I met you. I really thank you. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Bye, beautiful.
Bye, darling.